Ngicela ukubonga
Tito.
wase George Gore. Ramlebo. Sibonga umoya. Sibonga ibusiso. Makwande makhanye. Nhlanhla ubuyile. The previous interview did, I think, over 500.
Yeah.
It was a very big interview.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for visiting again.
I don't need an invite. Lanka kena li posa tsa strata mamela ke messages bu ke dladlenyi motho interview ang tlo shift ar ka chance re khona bua le batho ba dladleng ba mamela. So it's the only platform, well, one of the only platforms that our people have that they interact with. And for me as a leader of the township and leader of the millions of people in Soweto, I don't have a choice. Even if I didn't want to, I don't have a choice but to subscribe.
I think let's start it there. How have you been since the last interview? There's a lot that has happened.
Sure.
And a lot has been said out there in the public.
Yeah.
The interview also was great. It got a lot of feedback. I also got a lot of calls from all over the world.
Sure.
I think from the international community, from abantu bangaphandle or even abantu bakithi abahlala ngaphandle, I think the first thing that they were glad about, ukuthi, you don't have hatred for foreigners.
Yeah.
A lot of people mentally actually thought, ukuthi, awuncane ama-foreigners. So for some reason, I just like the fact that the previous interview clarified that.
Sure.
And you expressed yourself clearly.
Sure.
I'm sure you also got a lot of feedback from your side. How have you been?
Look, I've been strong. I've been at my peak because a lot of people around me have been super at their peak, which makes me stronger. So the leadership in the township has been amazing. We've able to package what we think could be the future, a gift to the future of the country through the community structures outside politics, which is a big thing for me. The noise has been there, but we're not here for the cheers and the clapping of hands. So we are not even moved by the boos if there are any legitimate boos, you know. So for us, it's just one-way traffic, and that traffic is where the destination is, in between where we are and where we are going with our entire community. So what everybody has to say, what everyone else has to think or say, really, it's not my problem. It's not my problem when we are gullible to what politicians are saying, or you are gullible to what the media alone is saying. Say this, that if the same media that we listen to is the reason why Mama Winnie Mandela lived under siege, because the media said she's a monster, and we meaning a lot of people, black, white, colored, Indian, believed that for a long time, until some media houses come when she's gone and say that we're actually responsible for pushing a narrative. The oldest stories on the land, people have always been talking about people, but you know, it's important as a leader to understand that they must talk. Because you're at the center of their lives. They must talk about you. Some negative, some positive, it's okay. What's important, what drives me, is that even those who disagree with me will be led by me. Even those who absolutely hate me for no reason are going to be led by me. And my philosophy is that simple, because my leadership philosophy is that ancient African leadership philosophy. It's not a commercial, new age leadership philosophy that's social media based. So mine is easy. I am a leader of a community, not a community with membership, not an institution, political party with membership. It does not matter whether of favor chiefs or pirates, you are led by me. It does not matter if you are EFF, ANC, DA, Action SA, Patriotic Alliance, you are led by me, because you are part of the community first before you are part of anything else. So I am your primary leader. If there's people are taking women in our communities, raping a woman, we are first on scene, and we make sure that we prevent such from happening in our communities. We do not ask at whose house, what political subscription do they have, are they Pagania, are they Kaiser Chiefs. We don't ask those things. So in a nutshell, I've been super amazing, because there's development in the community, because there's a way forward for the future of South Africa in terms of our communities and community leadership. And in closing, like I always say, you will never lead South Africa if you have failed to lead your community. The communities are a super foundation of the provinces, and the provinces are a foundation of what the nation is. So if the foundation is broken, the country inevitably will become broken, if not yet broken. We can see that we're living in a really shaky country. But if you zoom down, the communities are shaky. We say, look, go back to the crimes in our community. It's easy to say crimes in South Africa, but those crimes don't happen virtually on top of our heads like planes flying. They happen in our communities. So get the communities right. You'll get the country right. There is no, you can't even have a trick or a magic trick to bypass the communities. And you also look deeper, the foundation of the communities are the households, the families. We live in broken families. Myself, I come from one of the most deeply broken families. Doesn't mean that love doesn't live there. It lives there, but the families are broken. As soon as Gogo passes away, again, we all fight for siblings. There's some siblings in prison right now, like I always say, that have killed each other because of family houses. Ndwane Slim opens a small business in the family house. There's a meeting that reminds them that, listen, this is our family house. You can't have a business. We don't have title deeds to our family houses. So even the commercial system, forget the family system, has failed us dismally. Because when someone who is a non-racial, that is, who is in Bryanston, their dad or mom passes away or grandmother passes away, there's order, there's commercial order. That young person, 25, 35, 45 even, can take that to the bank and have some money to invest in their own businesses and grow their own wealth. We don't have it. We don't inherit anything in the townships. We have more problems than ever solutions. We are just a serious product of old people that have failed us as young people. Now we have to inherit the darkness and also start competing with each other to survive in the darkness. It's actually plain disgusting. And that's why you see National Parliament with old people and no young people. Because if the young people that are there used to be young, they're not young no more.
You're talking about the foundation of where we are in this African continent, ikakhulukazi lapho esikhona azana eMzansi, is umoya.
You see, that will never be understood by majority of the people listening, but it's worth talking to that one that will. Umoya is literally our genetic makeup as African people. We vibrate differently. So if we are not connected to our nature, then we are going to die. And we're going to die on night. And if you don't die, you're going to live on your knees. Like you see, if you look around, most of us are. Because the functioning system, both above and on the land and beneath the land where the minerals are, all functioning operating systems are not African operating systems. So we'll remain in third world status, we'll remain in junk status until we apply leadership that is very close, if not at the true center, facing true north. Again, if you understand what I'm talking about, you understand the importance of true north, not just north, but true north. You then get to understand that this is the time where we go back to our simplicity as the people of this continent. If you're African, it doesn't matter if you recognize yourself as an Arab or as me, as African, or maybe like some colored people who are Africans. Some Indians have a certain part in the continent because of the old trade that used to happen in Crimea and whatever. So Africa is indeed a home for humanity. So you can't even start to begin to say that if it's a home for humanity and human beings, then you must exclude some human beings. This is a home for absolutely all human beings, but we know which human beings can play the drum so that the mountains can dance.
I want us to start with the Electoral Act, the brand new one, the new bill that has just been signed into law by the President. He's just signed a new Electoral Amendment bill, and I will read it here, and shout out to my brother Penyo for simplifying it for me. I also did not understand what it brings to the table. What does it mean to a normal layman in the street? They say South Africa is a valid Electoral Act again after President Cyril Ramaphosa signed the Electoral Amendment Bill the presidency announced that Cyril Ramaphosa signed the bill which allows independent candidates to contest national and provincial elections. And while we still, as soon as after I mentioned the president's name, load shedding, just as a reminder. Anyway, the bill gives effect to a constitutional court judgment that was handed down on the 11th of June 2020. The Apex Court declared the Electoral Act unconstitutional to the extent that it requires that adult citizens may be elected to the National Assembly and provincial legislatures only through their membership of political parties, close quote. But it suspended the declaration of unconstitutionally for 24 months to afford Parliament an opportunity to remedy the defect giving rise to the unconstitutionality. Parliament, however, initially deferred to the Executive, and Home Affairs Minister Aaron Motsoaledi only introduced the bill to the legislature in January 2022. Parliament had to approach the Constitutional Court twice for deadline extensions. The final deadline was the 28th of February, a couple of weeks ago, just a few months ago. The National Assembly passed the bill on the 23rd of February with the support of the ANC, the EFF, the Good Party, and Al-Jamaa. According to the presidency, the amended act now provides for the inclusion and nomination of independent candidates as contestants to elections in the National Assembly and provincial legislatures. I do know some of you guys get irritated. This one is extremely, extremely important, guys. Let me just hit these few bullet points and then I'll give it over to Nhlanhla. Notable measures that feature in the bill are the requirements that must be met by persons who wish to be nominated as independent candidates. Shout out to Penuel the Black Pen. He had Duduzane Zuma, who has proclaimed publicly that he is running for presidency in 2024. And a lot of people have been asking about independent candidacy. And I'm glad that the first bullet point touches on that, and I'm going to give it to Nhlanhla in a moment. But the second bullet point says the inspection of copies of lists of independent candidates and accompanying documents. 3, provision for objections to independent candidates. 4, the inclusion of a list of independent candidates entitled to contest elections. 4, the requirements for the appointment of agents by the independent candidates. 5, an obligation for independent candidates to abide by the electoral code of conduct. 6, the revised formula for the allocation of seats and their reallocation in the event of vacated seats. And then number 7, a stipulation for the minister to establish the Electoral Reform Consultation Panel. What an interesting one. This is your homework. Go read this. Go consult with other people who might understand it better than you do, just like I did. I consulted Penuel immediately. Go check out some videos where he talks about it and he simplifies it. What does it mean to you, Nhlanhla?
Look, what it means to me, and mind you, this is a new thing, because when systems change, you can't have expert with experience because our system's changing. We can only reference perhaps some other countries that have experienced it and say there's a case study for it. But with all the research that I've done and the interrogation into this agenda that I've done as possible and as deep as possible, the good side, the positive side to it, for me, is that it literally breaks the ice for the system to change, because we know that the system must change. So this system is not serving the interest of our people. It's serving the interest of thugs, of people who invest in the darkness of this country, people who invest in the corruptions of this country, people who will defend corruption because they benefit from it. Corruption, as far as making drug dealing a possibility, it brought daylight in our townships and other communities. So I'm happy that there is some change, but I'm not happy with the change itself. It's pathetic. this is coming from me, but I mean, we'll make use of the change. If there's young people who want to run as independents, people like myself will support them, because we want to see young people emerge and making sure that the people can vote directly for their own leader, so that we don't have politics imposing leadership on our people, because that's the nature of leadership right now under politics. It imposes itself on people. Example, the members of parliament. If you look at the members, everybody is sitting in that parliament. They're there to represent their organizations. They're there to represent their political parties, not the people of South Africa, because you would hear it in what they discuss, that they are there for the people or they're there for politics. And what they discuss often, half the time, is things that are to do with, I'm just that guy, I'm saying it as it is. They're discussing and plotting how they're going to chow more than how they're going to fix the country. You can't have an entire season of politics or year of politics watching Parliament on TV. And when you look at the top 3 biggest problems in all townships in this country, those problems are not being discussed in Parliament. So these people, they'll start discussing electricity as a priority in Parliament when load shedding now affects their kids in Sandtons, Bryanstons, and the public and the private schools. I can give you case studies that are documented on TV. Some of us, we've been fighting for electricity for the last 3 years, 4 years in Soweto. There have been communities without electricity consistently for more than 8 months, some 2 years in Soweto. But the problem did not cross the highway and get into Sandton from Alexandra, from Soweto. And that's why it was never a problem discussed in Parliament. But now we are discussing electricity because the load shedding also happens to be affecting those who are living in Sandton.
Does it even affect Sandton?
It doesn't even.
You saw it. It just came out now as I was reading this bill. It only affected us for 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
The generators kick in.
So
do they really have the best interest of fixing this?
No, they don't have the best interest of the people. They're not there to serve the people. The biggest problem in our communities is drugs. Do you see any look, every township has political wards. Every ward has a branch. Where are the branches when our people need leadership in our communities? Where are they? The time for politics is over. I must tell you if nobody else is telling you. So getting back to the bill, I'm happy that there's an individual who's recognized by the communities that can go and stand. But let's look at what it means technically. And I wanted to have this discussion with Black Pen actually. Technically, it means that when I've been going to the IEC to see what solutions we can have as a community outside politics, this is one of the things we discussed. We discussed that in this country, South Africa, to get 1 seat in Parliament, National Assembly, is about 50,000 votes will get you, let's say, a seat in Parliament. So how does it then work? You are an independent candidate. So therefore, you can only sit on 1 seat. And that's why the IEC will vet you, and not a possible list of others that come with you. So if this entire country loves you so much, DJ Spoo, and it all votes for you as an independent candidate, and let's say 80% of the votes that are out there go to you straight, we are talking millions. And then the political parties get the remaining 20%, and they even share them. They will have more seats than you, because you can't distribute the seats so they'll only take 50,000 out of the 4 million votes you just received. The rest must go to the bin. So the politicians knew that when you look at it from a numbers point of view, Spoo can come with the biggest hype of all time and come with the biggest numbers of all time when it comes to putting the cross on paper, but come to Parliament where it all matters, because this is a process that gets everybody to Parliament. So when ANC has X amount of seats, it then deploys people to Parliament. When EFF has X amount of seats, it deploys people to Parliament. You as the independent, you will get to Parliament with 50,000 votes. Anything after 50,000 is a waste. You can't take it with you because you are an independent candidate. You are not a political party. You're not an organization. So for me, there's a trick that they played. They are happy to sign this nonsense into our reality, because this nonsense will not compete with them. And when I say nonsense, I'm not saying the independent candidates, I'm saying the system. The independent candidates might have enough balls and strategy and even intelligence to compete with the institutions that have been out there doing nothing, pretending to be liberators of this country in political regalia. So you get a DJ Spoo, Black Pen, and whoever else, Lux, if Lux was also doing it, and we're there. But I can get 1 million votes. They'll only take the 50,000. And that's, for me, is pure disgusting, because it also shows you that there's a back-end system. We just here on the user interface, but there's a real back-end system that is running the show. They don't care what you guys are going to do. Look, right now, I can show you with the coalition governments. The majority of the city has said that we want DJ Sbu to run the city. The majority. And the minority parties inside then come together plus their numbers and say that actually it's not DJ Sbu, it's going to be DJ Fresh. We can't say anything. But we were sold constitutionally that we've got the power to determine leadership. And they show you that you don't have the power, because we can shout vote of no confidence for DJ Sbu, who was voted in by the people. And we say that we want our own Spantola mayor, not DJ Sbu. You will, because the system, the back-end system allows them. After the Gogos have followed line and been in the sun, waiting in long queues to go vote for DJ Sbu because they know that they trust you. Politics can take you out like this in 2 weeks. We saw it happen in the city of Johannesburg with the coalition processes. Mayor after mayor. Why? Because vote of no confidence, we know how to rig the system within the system legally. Boom, Spantola. You do illegal things legally. They've mastered that. There's nothing you can do. So I worry for that young person who's going to take their community or their province or even this country. Let's say someone as someone like Tutuzani who says they want to run. And let's say we all love Tutuzani. And let's say we all actually vote for him because he's young. And he had the courage to say he's running. And we all back him as young people. And we take the votes that been lying there dormant, that people are not exercising because they don't have an alternative. They say, let's try the young man. We'll all vote for him, but he'll walk into parliament occupying one seat. It's like aviation business, bums on seat. Taxi business, bums on seat. So for me, it's change and it's amazing. It's fine. Any change is good change. But at this point, 2023, with all the technology we have and with all the brilliance we have, we're not going to be played by the politicians. They knew why they're signing it. No problem. On the eve of 2024 elections, they are signing it so that you can all lose focus and focus on all running as independents. That's not it. What we need to do is what we actually discussed before and with other people. As Soweto, what we then said is, Nhlanhla, why don't you open a political party? I'll be reinventing the wheel if I do. What difference do I make if after registering a political party, I would then have to go dance to the same music of politicians, because I must then sit with politicians. It's nothing new. Julius did it when he left the ANC. Kenny did it. Gayton did it. I can name you all the guys that did it. Buntate Lekota did it. So what's new? Nothing. Instead, we are going backwards, dilapidating. Why? Because our numbers are being divided. Every time Lux opens a political party, what is he doing? Instead of black people uniting so that they can use the strength of their numbers to change the country how they would wish, we are opening political parties, dividing the numbers and weakening the numbers of our people even further. So Nhlanhla said, Lux says, I'm not opening a political party. And I've been consistent with it. I'm not going to even enter the realms of politics because I know how they're connected ultimately to if you are in South Africa, to SADC, to Africa Union, to Africa Union connected to United Nations. It's a global political system. That's why they can tell you that your country is closing and they're not asking you, they're telling you, saying it's COVID, we are doing this thing. And as a president, you don't have a choice because we are part of the global networks of politics. We are ultimately serving the Queen, and we're ultimately serving all these systems that made sure that we get to the point where we are. And here we are thinking that we are working and we are smarter and we can get liberated by the same system that was brought to us. For even an 8-year-old listening to the podcast, I'll make an example. When they took our glory away from us as Africans, from everything they took under the earth, on the earth being ourselves here, walking on the earth, turning us into slaves and taking what's in the sky, meaning our true cultures, and then imposing religion on us and imposing other systems on us and imposing the political system on us and the education system that we feed on today imposed on us. And we think that, honestly, the same people that destroyed us are the same people that will liberate us. And we've got a bunch of people saying that I can speak and I'm from Kai and I'm a politician, and that's because I know how to sing an Oliver Tambo song. I can continue confusing people, going on with them, because that's what happens. The people in Soweto like Lux. Lux joins a political party. Ultimately, I'm taking all those numbers into the political party. It's just a vicious cycle. It starts from scratch. Their kids will also be indoctrinated into that nonsense. Do you know how many young people will kill you for their ANC T-shirt, for their EFF T-shirt? They don't even know where that comes from. They don't even know where it's going. It's just a moment that we are in now. We are trapped in the matrix. We don't even know what the hell's going on, but we are ready to kill for it. Kill for what? For singing an Oliver Tambo song? Let me tell you, Spoo, where I come from, the realest of realists here, Soweto, whenever there's a problem, people forget what they subscribe to. I've had people in red EFF colors come to my house. They are mugging people as we speak now. Why you come to me then? When we had the first parliament sitting, Soweto parliament sitting, we had people marching outside the parliament sitting, requesting for electricity, saying that they don't have electricity. In a normal state, they are confused. But I accepted it. I accepted it because I didn't say, why don't you go to your political leaders? I'm not in government. I'm not in politics. Why do you come to something as neutral as Soweto Parliament and you come ask for electricity? But then I realized that we are actually being given blessings by those who think that barkhatella, to say that we actually recognize you as the leader who can take us to the promised land. Because it's a waste of time for us to organize ourselves the way we have, get into a taxi or two and come and make noise outside your office. Because we know that if we make noise outside your office, the lights will come back, not anyone else's office, who's actually in office to do the right thing for the people of this country.
So how can communities organize themselves? What is Soweto doing? What are you guys doing?
So what we've done in Soweto is that I said to myself, instead of opening the political party, I want to go the long mile with my people, the distance. I want to ride it with everybody. So we sat down, we figured out a way to say that if we can register our community with the IEC, went back and forth with the IEC, gone to the IEC, and they said that, listen, this is, as you can, the community can be a civil movement. Civil movement. The community can be a civil movement. But their back-end system is going to take it, because every registration to them is a political, they reason that way, because it's an old school system. It's not, no kid that does coding came up with the IEC electoral entire system. It's an old school thinking system. So they're saying you're going to be plugged and recognized as, in the back end, as a political party. You operate as a civil movement, and we push so that you can get the benefits of the political parties. And there's nothing on paper, on policy, on law that stops that. So we then say, what do you need from us to be on the ballot sheet so that we can vote for ourselves as Soweto, as the community? Because we are tired of being represented by politicians who are not there for the interest of our people.
And this is you speaking to the IEC?
This is me speaking to the IEC.
And what did they say?
No, they just get dumbstruck, because there's a loophole right there. There's a loophole that they never ever discussed with anybody, not even just them, as if I'm attacking them. Even the politicians, even well, I don't expect them to be telling people that there's a way to go around getting your liberation without us, because that's the selling point. So
please simplify that again for all communities that are watching now.
I'm saying the IEC then says to us, you're going to have to give us a petition from your community, over 1,000 signatures, that says that they are in support of the community being on the ballot sheet. And what that means is that when the community is on the ballot sheet, Soweto being a big community, millions of people now part of our population.
The biggest in South Africa.
The biggest, right? So we then have the power with our numbers to say that if we stand, we can get seats in parliament, and we can start representing ourselves in parliament. And with those seats, we're going to make sure that the people that the community elects to represent us in parliament are people from our communities. Ramtseba DJ Spoo. We know him. His name is Nhlanhla. We know him. The community knows a lot. Actually, the community's intelligence around each family is actually incredible. We should also speak about that at some point, right? So then we have people that are representing us that we can recall at any time if we are not happy with their performance.
As a community.
As a community.
Not a political party.
Because that seat belongs to the community, not you. Now that's the risk of independence. If you got the seat with your name and brand, it's your seat, Spoo. That's why you can't transfer it to anybody else. But if the community stands and the community votes for itself as Soweto, Then the community owns the seat. Then the community elects the best person, the most competent person. And there's a small criteria that we have in Soweto. The most competent people, there's something that we call the Community Members of Parliament list. So this list is a prospective list. Depending on the number of seats we get, that will issue the seats in that order. And again, what also determines who can, if we don't use that order, that community members of parliament list, we can also check from which areas did we get most votes, because IEC can tell you that as Soweto. You got most from, and we can say that maybe it can only be fair that the areas with the most votes must have first preference with their candidates to represent Soweto. So that's where we're still discussing that technicality, but we are standing. We are standing, and we are helping many other communities stand. So Alexandra is an example.
And that's what I wanted to ask. What about smaller communities with smaller numbers?
So Alexandra is a big community in stature, but a very small community in terms of numbers. The majority of the people that are living in Alex, to be honest with you, are actually not South African. Come voting day, it's disgusting how many people actually are out there, not only voting, who can register to vote. So even the leadership of Alex will tell you. Now, because the numbers are diluted by the unfortunate situation, they can't stand alone. They can't stand alone because inevitably some people love political parties more than they love their own children. So you can't expect 100% vote for some will vote for their political parties, no problem. So they don't have enough numbers to contest. So we as Soweto said that we've played the liberating big brother in the history of this country. So we shall continue with that responsibility. A township such as Alex deserves their own representative in the National Assembly. So we said to Alex, play ball with us. You vote with us, and then we'll make sure that on paper, which we already have, on paper, one of the seats that will come out of Soweto, maybe after the third seat, the fourth one is definitely yours. Or maybe after the second one, the third one is definitely yours. So depending on the number of votes you bring this side and how much of a difference you play in the journey, we'll definitely guarantee you one seat in Parliament with our numbers in Soweto. So we have allowed Alexandra to piggyback on us so that we can move together. It's not about Soweto shining, Nhlanhla shining. We should all move forward. I'm having a meeting next week with the communities, with the local community leaders in Pitori. It's now Tshwane, in the city of Tshwane. And they're all actually coming together. They're going to be registering as a community so that they can actually lead themselves. We are tired of being led by people who are not delivering. It's been 30 years now.
Are communities aware of this, though?
Not all communities. I mean,
do you think the media would be even in the favor of spreading such information?
Well, we all know that most of the media, that's why the platforms here are real platforms where we can be honest and not censored. The media is controlled by politics. Not all of it, certainly, but a good part of it. So I'm not expecting the media to go wild and spread this fire, because why? The people will be liberated. And why would the owners of the media want the media to assist people to sweep the carpet of power under their feet and give it back to the people? Because as far as I'm concerned, this is our traditional calling.
So now you're speaking to the leaders in Tshwane?
Yeah, we're speaking to the leaders in Tshwane. It's not a Gauteng-based thing. We've got people in the Free State, we've got people in Northwest. Oh, the young people are also vibrating there. So you will find a situation when this takes off. And I think once we can complete the process in Soweto, because on the 28th of this month, we are going to be taking back the signatures and everything that's a requirement back to the IEC so that we can get our formal stamps to say that you are on the ballot sheet. Once that is done, then it's easy. Other communities will see. Our people are not all frontliners. They would like to see, because we don't all learn quick in theory or in passing. Some of our people need time, need to see it happen. So Soweto has the responsibility to show the entire country that, look, it's possible. We are representing ourselves in 2024. And wherever you are in the world, it's national elections. Wherever you are in the world, you can be in Cape Town, but Soweto will be there. So if you're from Soweto, anywhere in this country, you vote. And the special elections that happen across the world. And even you who are currently deployed by political parties, your vote is your secret. Vote for your community. It will make sure your kids go to parliament, not some political deployee come here looking very unfit and because they are loyal to a certain individual in your political party, they must now be given the complete power to sit in parliament and discuss policies for the future of our kids. They've neglected our current situations in the township. What interest do they have in the future of our kids? So your kids that you gave birth to have the opportunity to go to parliament. Let the blue lights come and live in the township for a change, because we fought for those blue lights, we voted for those blue lights. Every time someone gets into parliament, they move out of Soweto. Show me one member of parliament, show me one who lives in Soweto right now. Don't tell me about Bontate and Nhlanhla, who recently passed away but was still in the township. Bontate and Nhlanhla were not active. I played golf with the gentleman. I didn't take pictures with them like the politicians do and claim stories with them. We played golf. He was a member at Soweto Country Club, and a diligent member at that. Right? So I'm talking about people who will take the spear, pick up the spear and take it forward for their communities. Where? You'll never find those type of things. So this is a prime opportunity, not only for South Africa, for the rest of the continent, young people in the continent. Right now, interrogate your IEC systems. Make sure that you organize your communities. Make sure that the communities become empowered. Take the power back from the politicians, Spoo. Give it to the ordinary people. If I was power hungry, I'd open a political party. Guaranteed I'd be in parliament with the numbers that we have on the ground. But that would be for me and my kids, Spoo. And that's why you see when change happens, it happens for the political leaders, not the people on the ground. Sbu, think about it. Ever since you see a political party emerge, go, use your mind. Don't listen to media alone. Don't look at what's trending and you think it's trending in real life. Go to your political leaders. Look at how much their school fees, their kids, how much they spend on their kids just for school fees versus your kid. What 50 rand go Tembisa High School? Man, come on, man. Only their lives improve. You will sing the Oliver Tambo song until you die, and you'll indoctrinate. Every time you sing that song out loud as a parent, you are indoctrinating your child to believing that singing is the only way to solving problems, and no singing has ever solved problems. Singing is a platform for awareness, not problem solving.
Funding?
Sbu, businesses in the township, if you organize yourself, businesses in the township will support you because you support them. They're only there with their heart beating because of you. You are the market. You are the market. There's a saying that says the customer is always right, but in this case, you're not the customer, you're the entire market. It's bigger. You must understand you are. Stop you say, no customer, nothing. You are the market. You can collapse businesses in your township. Right now, you can all have a meeting and say, we're not buying from this shop. That shop, 6 months, it's gone. It's not someone's magical powers. So funding can happen. In Soweto, we've got businesses that are not linked to political parties. Do you think that political parties are linked to the taxi industry? No, I'm just saying pound for pound. How? The taxi industry is linked to the community. It comes first because that's where the train one comes from. That's when you pay in the taxi.
For former
Mastlalisan. They're not here for political AGMs. So there's real business in the township that can Hlanganisa put together the money that IEC wants. And maybe your next show I must give you all the requirements and put them up. Even one guy in the community who's no longer living in the community can look at the community and say, this is amazing, this is the change we need. And just go swipe the bill. I swipe it. I care who swipe konka. And a shout out to Kutlano is my G. This is not a shot to konka, no, by any means. Mar makhotmana aploma ko konka with underage girls ba swipe di ntho tse grand ba swipe di 250,000 o tlatsa rona ba post di bill mo di ntweng. I'm sure you can pay 10% of that money to liberate your community so that it can stand in the next elections. IEC requirements are all paid, everything is done, 1,000 signatures as for call. When we launched this in Soweto, we'll sharply more than triple of what they need.
When are you planning to launch?
We are submitting 28.
Submitting 28,
it's this month.
Or just after Freedom Day?
After Freedom Day, we are submitting. Boom.
And this will be an eye-opener to all communities in the country.
But again, the fundamental difference between independent candidates is that those seats that seat is yours alone. The rest of your numbers go to waste. But if you go through the community, even with your brand as DJ Spoo backing Tembisa up, that means that Tembisa as a community will have more seats, because even the seats that are going to be wasted under your independent candidacy would then come to the community. So would, as a community, make use of the numbers that were going to be a loss on your end. So we now have 6 seats, which you'd also give to Smuda, someone like Smuda, because we understand the brand value the value that we brought to the entire process. Because if you had gone as an independent, you would definitely got. But there'd be a wastage, spillage.
It will be for Sbu and his family.
Yes.
I get
But
you.
now we're doing it for the people and the future of our people.
How did you get aware of this?
It's just being invested, Spoo. It's just being invested and doing the research. When they're making noise on Twitter, you actually using your data for real research. And I wish a lot of people can just do this. Invest in yourself so that you can win for yourself and others. That's my message when I speak to the young people in Soweto.
Yeah.
Everything we do is for ourselves and others. There's nothing that you do for yourself alone, because that's not sustainable. Do you think that if DJ Spoo says this is the Mudima Wopola, and God forbid, and you probably pass away in your sleep peacefully, do you think that the people who come from your lineage, your children, even your sister's kids with the same surname, can come to my house, but Uncle Lux, we know that when a little time at I just want to go to university, here's my report. Do you think that they'll never continue? Because everything you did, Spoo, was never for you. It was for yourself and others. And that's why the streets will always hold you down in this life and the next. You know right now what's happening with Pro Kid. You know, Spoo, you know right now. He lived for himself and others. And that's why Nonkanyezi, Pro Kid's daughter, will live the way she's living forever. And some of us can only be in the physical. Bo AKA, shout out to Bo AKA, yourself and everybody else. We did a major thing for Nonkanyezi, honoring Pro. She's got a trust fund, education trust fund. Which other kid in the hood that runs around has an education trust fund? Pro didn't do that. The people did it. And why did the people do that? Because Pro did everything for himself and others. And that's why the others in their big numbers would pull together and make sure that the only thing that he left in this world, the only child, the only daughter, is going to have a multiplication of fathers, not because Pro's gone, there's no father. We are all there. Spoo, you are also there. I'll call Bosleka, they're all there. I'll call everybody if that child has a problem, because I happen to be in close proximity. You are all not sleeping. I'm not the only one that's not sleeping. We have a problem with anything that's to do with Pro's. Pro, you know very well who I'm talking about and the work that he did. Hip-hop is what it is today because of people like Pro. We all know it. Not because of Pro, because of people like Pro. And that speaks volumes because it includes you too, Spoo. But when they speak hip-hop, they'll never speak of Spoo. But they don't know how much Spoo actually plugged into hip-hop. Only those who are real would know those type of stories. The only thing they know is what's trending negative on social media. And that's why, that's the fundamental difference between Afrikaans people, Jewish people, and black people. We take pride in the negative. I've been in Jewish spaces. The conversation is so positive. Our spaces, as soon as they're silent, awkward silent, there's someone who drops a bomb on someone about someone. So for me, that's it, Spoo.
Have we forgotten the Kastarun? And I'm not talking about politicians. And what is your message to guys like us who've done well, raised by communities, somehow made it through varsity, Scala, Spanish Grand, or some of us running businesses, and the rest some of them are overseas all over the world.
Sure.
Have we forgotten where we come from? And what you've just spoken about right now, which is a major significant bargaining information for any community out there. What is your message to all of those that come from all of those communities that no longer stay there now anymore?
I think it's the same message that I would like to give to politicians as well. And even everybody in Africa, in South Africa, who's left their immediate communities and left us with Bokokos. We're taking care of Gokos who can't even go to the toilet because some of the houses in Soweto, in townships, the toilet is outside. And some of our patrollers need to always make sure that at Gawama 10, Gawama 9, they must kappa Goko to a final relieving point for the days before Gogo sleeps, because Gogo would often trip and fall. But you look at that house, when there's a funeral, hey man, Kidime Sidisi, the family is well established. They're now renting apartments in Midrand. They're now doing all these funny things because they've got a little bit of economic power in their favor. So we like to tell all those people, including politicians that have left our communities after we actually gave them power, economic power, because when we vote for you, we influence your life to change for the better now, right? So you can stay where you are, because not all of us have the same calling. If you're an engineer in Germany right now, continue, but share the little that you have with the rest of the community so that we can all move forward. Because if you leave us behind, It's only a matter of time where we look at you as an enemy. But if you take us with you, example, Pro Kid took us with us. And that's why even today, there are kids that are learning a Pro Kid song now. That's why there's people like you and I listen to a Pro Kid song we've listened to 1,000 times, but still pick up a new punchline today because he took us with him. And that's why we live for him today when he's gone. So if you want whatever legacies you're building, whatever countries that you live in, whatever communities that you now find yourself in, because they're better communities, the Hyde Parks and the Bryanstons, we all know when you go 6 feet under, your kids will be left with some of us. And it's either Lux will be the guy who comes in at night with the balaklava to come and take the TV because I need to pay my kids' school fees as well, because life is not balanced. Or Lux will be the guy to actually continue the liberation of your child. But where you put Lux while you're alive is where what will determine the future of your own child. You think that you're closing me outside? You're actually causing a monster for the future of your child when you are not around.
It's important because there's just this narrative that is growing on social media now where a lot of black people are saying they're sick and tired of black tax. And I'm like, since when have black people seen a burden to look after people who have brought them up?
Yeah.
Where they come from.
Sure, they forgot
and that's
their
why I
kings.
want us to talk about this.
Yeah, they forgot their kings, and I don't like this type of talk because it's some people actually think that it's a conscious talk. It's not. It's a real talk. Okay, you don't have to be conscious and chill with conscious niggas and smoke a joint for you to actually vibrate at this level. You can be an ordinary guy and still vibrate at this level. I'm telling you now that people forgot who they are. People forgot who they are. Example, simplify it, lowest common denominator. Instead of talk about the whole of South Africa, Soweto, back to where I master the terrain. I reminded Sowetans, after I was reminded that you guys forgot who you are. You are screaming like every other community. And I'm not saying Soweto is better than Tembisa, than Alex, but I'm just saying from a historic point of view, we know that that's the home of liberation movement, any type, okay? Politics, people would come back Soweto, like Morris Isaacson. I can give you the history of South Africa. It's always has Soweto somewhere. That's why today it's such a big brand. And we forgot our big brother role of liberating the country. We started being soft. We started being accommodating, too accommodating. We stopped being decisive. We stopped leading because we want to be led even by people we don't know as Sowetans. We had to remind our people who they are. And that's why we're taking such a big leap of faith to make sure that we jump across. And if we can make it, we make it, and we bring everyone else with us. Every other community will come with us. So when you look at the entire country, our people have forgotten who they are. And that's why they subject themselves to such low standards of living and thinking. They live very low because they vibrate very low. They don't even clean their ancestors' graves no more. They don't see the importance. And it's not about even seeing the importance because you're only using 2 eyes to see. That's why you don't see. There's many eyes that you can see with. One of them is the brain. And some people will call it the third eye. Some people will reference the third eye. Some people will reference the pineal gland. Some people, I can go as deep as many people can when talk about such things. But for the sake of the listener understanding, without having to do homework to understand me, I'm telling you now, you must seek yourself, you find yourself, you multiply yourself. In Soweto, there's about 100 more Luxes. Get rid of me, you're in the biggest trouble, you will see.
My message to Amachitak out there is, in African culture, there is no such a thing as black tax. That's why ibilele re o dumedisa. Nasikubingelela sithi sanibonani.
Sure.
You are here because of a reason of millions of other, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people, genes that you are carrying. Since when we're not so totally grand, you have to complain about even giving it a name, black tax, but it's a topic for another day.
Yeah. Those who complain, Sbu, have weak shoulders. Listen, we all have problems in this world. We carry the same problems. And for you to be in proximity to solve some people's problems is actually a sign of a blessing from your ancestors to say that we have empowered you to solve some problems. But you're too much subscribing to these international systems and commercial systems to act, and you forgot about who you are. So it's not my problem and all your problem that some people are complaining. We can't never be clever. We can't all be rich, Spoo. We can't all be poor, Spoo, because someone must break through and be rich. But when you start finding ignorant black people who complain about black tax, come on, man, look at me, Spoo. Now, Tamalaka, it's not a secret. Even so, some people are taking advantage of our honesty and profiting from our hurt and poverty. It's okay. It's who they are. They chose to be those people. But I used to be taken to the best of schools. Kachelta about Baspina. Baspina Riaskela. How spina, for those you don't know, how spina, you are signing out, you live in the house kissing your daughters saying that I might not come back because it's a reality. Because heists during the apartheid times, where there's even that hate that this black guy must shoot him in the head first, and they still go do it so that we can be liberated. Fast forward many years later, most of them are gone, including my father, 6 feet under. But I'm continuing, I'm going on. So our people actually do not understand the power they come with. And only the universe can give you a hint of the amount of power you have by giving you the weight that you should carry. Even if you're biblical, it's okay. I'm not rejecting religion because I don't subscribe to it. I can even accommodate you in that religious conversation. Even in religion, many religions, from the Quran to the Bible, there will be scriptures that tell you that God will not give you a weight that you can't carry. He gives you the weight you carry. And we can come back to African spirituality and speak about our ancestors than just nature itself, because that's who we are. So if you look at nature will not give you weight you can't carry. You can quit, but life can go on. Oh, Papa More, hey, I've covered this distance. Yes, you did.
A lot has happened since I last saw you. Maybe the first thing that I'll start with is you spoke out on social media that your home was attacked. And I think that became a subject of discussion, and a lot of people dismissed it as a made-up story. Maybe let's start there.
Sure. Again, I don't blame them. My life is not to prove. I don't live for, like I said earlier, I don't live for the booze, for the claps, and I don't go defend Maponya Mall so you can clap for me. Whether you clap for me or not is irrelevant. I move on to the next mission because that's how I am, and that's how we all operate in where I come from. So if people want to send out, they push heavy PR. I wish the politicians can take the PR budgets they have and build Bokoko houses. Would be so much better as a nation. But anyway, they take PR, invest heavy PR in saying, let's move from explaining why our 2020 shutdown of the country has failed. And let's focus on Nhlanhla's bomb outside the house. Make stories. And ke pavement this book. Every time before, we'd never met in boardrooms. Strong.
And once again, for those who don't know, I met you through Pro.
Yeah, 100%.
I know you because of Pro. Linda,
yeah, sure.
Rest in peace, my brother. Sure.
So, I know. I'm not saying I know opinions. Fact, I know some radio hosts that are close to Julius that made shows on to push the narrative that I lied and planted my own bomb, and trying to kill my family. So it was an urgent attempt to move away from the narrative of them explaining their failure, and let's focus on this because he's a big name as well in the space, and we will all move the attention, and it works for their future too, because in the midst of their plan is to try to discredit me as a dishonest person, but only those who follow them. And I'd like to say this. Those on social media are not even 25% of this country. They are not.
Is everyone safe at home?
Everybody's safe at home.
Okay, nobody got hurt.
The kids are so I don't want to speak about the kids too much, but
okay,
the kids one of them had to literally go for therapy at Etram because it was too sensitive. You drop anything, they start wailing. And so people's traumatic experiences. But we go through trauma every day. Don't forget, you're talking to the same guy that last year this time was burying someone, one of his mates, because he was shot at with AK-47s go chicken farm. I can give you more traumatic experiences. The hood has made us, so hard. And I fear that most of us are this hard. At some point when you crack, will you even handle it? So it's the hood has conditioned us to behave this way. When the sun sets, all problems go. New day, new missions. Let's go. So we don't hold on to the past, and that's why I so often wonder, Sbuda, why Botaki? Why are we scared of white people so much? Lux is chilling with a white guy. Oh, Lux is captured. Why isn't there a possibility in your head that I've captured this guy? It's a reflection of what you think of yourself. So, I don't care for the noise, boo. I don't care for the noise. We just spoke of pro. We all agree, even the hip-hop artists agree, one of the greatest to ever walk on earth, not just in South Africa. But go look at his house. How many accolades he's got? Nothing. Pro is not decorated. Got Summer Awards, Metro Awards, because of the system. The system was at play. But he did not live for the system. That's why some of you were saved in prison by his bars. That's why some of you were saved in your communities and didn't go to prison because of his bars. So we don't live for that. We don't live. I want people to actually understand. Do you think they're doing it so that they can get credit from the community? Because once that's the approach, you are getting arrested 100%. So I was at a very young age. So I'm not just saying it to dismiss it. I'm saying it for real, Spoo. It doesn't matter if you like me. It doesn't matter if you hate me. All I know is that I need to lead you, because this is what I'm here for. I need to lead you.
Every time I hang around with Nota, we vibrate on another level. I hang around with Penuel, we vibrate on another level. And there's times when I say to Nota, but Nota, and I don't get into people's businesses. You know, if it's none of my business, none of my business. But from time to time, because it's always like, Mandanga, I love this. Every time when you're on this platform, you become this person that I would like and I pray for you to become. What is that vibe? You vibrating low over there. Like, why would you even succumb to that? I watched a podcast and I saw you vibrating low according to my own opinion as Grootmanyaw and as somebody whom I love as well. And I kind of felt you are attacking Julius as the man. Sorry, you are attacking the man and you're not playing the ball. You spoke about his wife.
Yeah.
Are you regretting those statements? Because for me, as much as other people can play the game whichever way they play it, I think for somebody like you who vibrates on this level, for me, I kind of felt that was low.
Sure.
And I was disappointed.
Yeah, and as Nhlanhla, and how we are raised as Botaki, if Nhlanhla la ring, I must actually appreciate that you're saying that. In this country, the biggest problem with that we have, before I answer your question, is that Mahotman are too focused on not being Mahotman. So imagine if you gave me that call the first time I spoke about it. I probably wouldn't have spoken about it again. But you see, the system is not complete because you're also failing us as young people. Who was there to call Julius to order when he always referred to my father and myself as Bana Mama showed? Because I was honest with the world to say that Tamalakaki Nedel Kenza in his time, in the apartheid times, on the day that my father was being laid to rest, I got sent a clip. Yeah, Bana Mama Khodu, Bana Mama Khodu. So he had an error. Mansar tutulanyana nonsense. Bana Mama Khodu. So he didn't play the institution, nor did he play the agenda. He played the man. And he played the man that he was supposed to actually, as a Khotman as well, to say that Ntwana Kama man. Maybe I'm misunderstanding your views. What are your views on this thing? So Khotman Laka. When that's how Takari so. Okay, Ntwana, let's agree to disagree. But now I want you to understand, as someone who has walked probably the journey that you are walking now, be careful, because I do that for younger guys on a daily basis. Why does it take cameras to be on? And I know you do it off camera anyway, but we're speaking to other Khotmans now. Why does it need the cameras to be on for you to act the role of Khotman? Eh? How many elderly people actually know both Julius's number and my number who don't do anything? Instead, they just watch the videos and they just move. Who? When they literally start even lying blatantly out of their mouths, because the politicians are professional liars, and referencing some of us and some of the things that we do. Nobody calls them to order.
But you different.
Yeah, look.
Nhlanhla, you different.
No, look. You just said it. And I just said to you, imagine if you told me this the first time you heard it. There wouldn't be a second or third time.
I wanted to see in person.
Yeah. So how because Lux is not going to be perfect the whole time. Sometimes I actually take, because I'm always sober, that's what people actually don't understand. Doesn't matter what time of the day it is, I'm always 100% sober. So when I do things, it's actually calculated. It's calculated because if you are used to, I've said it many times. What I said, I've said it many times. Except now, I said, and at the end of the sentence was saying that, actually, Mantua loves me. That is not me disrespecting her. If she wants an apology from me, I would apologize to Mantua, no problem. But instead, I don't think Mantua would ever want an apology from me. But because we are now bringing people who are not actually part of the agenda into the space, that's probably on merit and principle why I would apologize for the situation. But we don't take things personal. Some of our guys have been buried and we had to solve things. 4 of my guys. But I came and spoke to you and gave you a handshake that for the sake of other people's lives not to be at risk, let's agree to be at peace. Because because Strata Ras understand, we are actually better off together. Because we can take more people with us where we all wanted to go. It's a pity that yours ended here. I'm not the master of time and space, so I can't control life. Now, Julius 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 but now I operate in vibrations that are way deep. So I can't just respond to the normal responses of this world. So my input and output is not the same process as many people.
And I'm glad that you've clarified that.
Sure.
And thank you for us to, speaking about that. Because, and I like the point that you're making, that we don't hold each other accountable.
Sure.
We don't pick up the phone and be like, hey man,
yeah, sure.
Ring man, mamela. But at the same time, other things are, other people kind of feel that's none of my business.
Sure.
Let me sort of stay away. So thank you very much for being brave enough,
yeah,
to take accountability,
yeah,
and to say, okay, cool, I'm going to take my community forward. The conversation that we're having about Soweto representing itself, I think is even a much bigger conversation.
Sure.
That us as communities need to go revisit, do our own research around this conversation that we've
Sure.
just had. And now we're just a few months away from
Sure.
the next election.
Sure.
What is your message to Soweto people as far as what we've just spoken
The
about?
campaign is simple. Soweto country Soweto. You see, I get excited when I talk about it because I live the experience on a daily basis. So this model is saying to people of Soweto and other communities that are listening, simple. Don't vote for Lux. Vote for yourself so that your kids can go forward. You vote for me, my kids are going to private schools. Don't vote for me. Vote for yourself. Vote for your community so that the people you know can represent your people's interests and needs in parliament. Many countries are doing it that are progressive. So many states in America, for example, you interact with America. Soweto at Tembisa. You could swear you just cross countries. You're in the same country. It's just that people of that community would like some things to be done in a certain way and they make sure it gets done that way. Same country. So your needs, look at Sbuda, look at Santon, look at Alexandra. Walking distance. Do you think those communities have the same needs? The answer is no. So you can't have one guy leading all those communities in the name of politician. You can't. You can't. Someone will not be happy with you. In Alex Wi-Fi can't be a priority. In Santon, the Wi-Fi is down. 20 emails will go to whoever controls the Wi-Fi. So our people, and our people is all South Africans, by the way. Colored communities, Afrikaans community.
And touch on that as well, especially Eldos, while
Yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah.
Soweto, because there's a video of yours that I heard you speaking about Eldos
Yeah.
in Soweto.
Sure. Look, Eldos has always been part of Soweto. Politics has divided us racially so that they can benefit. Politics thrives when there's no people's organization or when people are divided. It thrives like you can't believe. So it needs our communities divided for it to exist. So the first step that we've done as a leadership, as a president of Soweto Parliament, I said, Buffett, Soweto, we have forgotten who we are. We are continuing the nonsense of politics and politicians. We are every time we went to make a noise about electricity, we had the biggest march out of Soweto. We did not include Eldos. We had Soweto Olympics. We did not include Eldos. So what are we saying to the people my age in Eldos and even younger? That we are not together. Even though your municipal bill can write Soweto Eldos. Saying Soweto Eldos is like saying Soweto Meadowlands, Soweto Pinville, Soweto Coffee. We share the same golf course. The people of Clipdown of Pinville will tell you that before the systems were what they are, it was you could walk to Eldos anytime. But now there's this big divide. Even when you assess it politically, it's PA, it's Action SA, it's this or that, and there's no stronghold ANC. You could swear you're looking at two different communities. So we thought that the unity of our people is the power of our people, and we must exercise it. Stopped only talking about it. So I had to apologize to Eldos at least for my leadership that has left them out of it, because I nearly allowed the conditioning to continue through me to say that Eldos, the colored people are not part of the black people. No, that's nonsense. So that the apology has been sent through. That's the video that you saw. We've been working amazingly with Eldos. We're actually on the way we were so taken, Sbu. We're on the verge of helping Eldos establish an Eldos parliament. The way we were so intoxicated by the nonsenses of this world. And we're like, come on, snap out of it. It can't be.
So the 28th of April 2023 will be a historical day, not only for Soweto, but for the rest of the country, because whatever happens on the elections of 2024,
sure,
what you guys are going to be doing from the 28th will set the tone,
yes,
for the rest of history, even when these communities or South Africa moves forward. So are the members of Soweto Parliament actually aware what you guys are about to do?
I don't think I'm also aware, because every day I wake up, I think about this, I realize it's so much bigger than all of us. It's like a checkmate of we now literally, I can see the promised land. I can see how people go to it. I've never felt this confident about anything that I've done in my whole life. And it wasn't hard to reach this point. It was like magical, universal. It was like a universal design. It was like the stars alignment, and we just looked, and you saw the shooting star, and like that's it right there, boom. And it's so every day I have to learn it myself. Every day I have to learn it and go back and like, how many signatures do we have today? Remember when it started? Each page has of that IEC signature thing has 20 pages, and we're like, oh, 1,000. What if? And it requires an ID, so people are very sensitive with their IDs. So that was the biggest challenge I had. Like, there's been so many scams in our townships, Body Triple M coming, and Magenta scam Abato, and people are now ID, man. So I laid it out anyway, without saying it, taking out a video or saying anything. Just our normal structures, going to people saying that, listen, the president is talking to the IEC, and now we need signatures. Yes, it comes with the ID. Yeah, serious. And the first report I got, the first day it rained, and we're sitting on 100. Get affected the whole day, 100 signatures. Man, President, you don't understand. In the rain, that's an excuse, dog. That's an excuse. I'm going out tomorrow. I go out myself. I take a few forms, house to house. Then my challenge is that everyone wants to have a long conversation with me, take pictures. So I also came back with 100 of my own, and I'm like, oh, this is tough. But look, and I started speaking about it in our platforms. Develop new haters from political parties, no problem. And the caucus went mad, like, this is it. So when I don't need to explain the magic and show you that, look, this is magical. If your eyes can just say, what is that? Before I can say, this is magic, then I know that this is magic. So we got to that point and I'm like, guys, how far are the signatures? But we are on about 750, but Mang hasn't delivered like other communities, smaller communities within Soweto. Mang hasn't delivered. We haven't checked on the others. And I get a call 30 minutes later. No, we're on 1,005. I'm like,
sure.
Yo, 1,005. All they need is 1,000. No, we've got a message from the structures. The entire community is saying that Bazos Delela, if we give them 1,000. Let's try give them double, triple, whatever we can. Let's just give them. So the signatures have been going wild. As we speak, signatures are being signed and that's also an indicator that the people have been waiting for an intervention. Not only an alternative, an intervention. And this is it.
Politicians are going to be pissed off, some of them.
Already are. They're calling me, Spoo.
Other communities right now would like to know, where do we go to research what you guys have just spoken about on the Hustlers Corner? And by the way, also, and make this interview to be too long. I'd like to also leave you so that you also, can still go to other podcasts and share this message.
Yeah. So look, my final message, if this is what you're leading us to, is that 2024, don't vote for me, vote for yourself, vote for your community. Make sure you do the right thing. I will guarantee you that your success will liberate not only this country, but Africa, because we as young South Africans, this is all we have as a vehicle to get into parliament. The natural order of things is that if you join a political party, it's an exercise of 50 years to get to parliament. You must first be a ward councillor and go to the region and go to the province and find your way to national and be friends with the right people. If you're a girl, unfortunately you have to sleep with some key people and maybe find yourself in parliament. But now, your community can take you to parliament. So even to the politicians that exist that are still young enough, we are saying that come back to your communities, organize your communities, work with your communities so that you can emerge back into that parliament, or maybe for the first time in your lives as politicians in that parliament. But this time, the community has sent you, not your political parties, because we also know that most of you political leaders, you do not agree with 90% of what's going on. But what can you do? It's like if I work at Pick and Pay and the price of milk is 70 rand and I'm a cashier, what can I do? Mine is to go doop, doop and ring, and that's what politicians are doing. So you now have a real liberation home that is in your communities, in your regional addresses, where your ancestors even know. Le phatleng le tsentse right go dintlong tseo, so your communities can be stronger. Le rapeleng ba rapelang, chesampepo ba chesampepo, ba loyang ko pali shopping scoop. Re tlo nka lefatshe and re tlo linka back. We're taking power back from politicians back into the hands of the ordinary people, meaning that the people shall govern. This is what Chrisani died for, Sbu. The people shall govern. Come 2024, not Lux will govern. The people shall govern, and they'll govern through their communities. And that's it. Tlanta Lux Commanders Morning. See you in your community. Anytime you need me to come and articulate better, I will address any community that is willing to go the extra mile and take the leap of faith to liberate its people from the capture of politics. Morning.
Nhlanhla, thank you for your bravery.
Sure.
Mababe now, Baba Fatha ababelu and Amfanagiti, Raunganya.
Sure.
Thank you very much for the bravery of showing young people that it's about time that we stand up and do it for ourselves.
Sure.
Nobody's coming to liberate us.
Sure.
Nobody's coming to save us.
Sure.
Not Nhlanhla, not any one of these or our politicians, but ourselves.
Sure.
And thank you for spreading that message to your generation.
100%.
You're playing a very pivotal role, whether I like it or I don't like it, but I have to respect it. I'm very proud of you. And and this one is an interesting one. I'm going to go research it more myself as well. And thank you for opening up our eyes.
Sure. And the smaller communities that don't have the numbers must just partner with the neighboring communities. Otherwise, create a bigger community. So, for example, if Tembisa doesn't cut it, let's have an Ekurhuleni community that goes onto the ballot sheet. And we share the votes across the different communities in Ekurhuleni.
When the media, or let's say the mainstream media, turns to distort this information, what are you advising people to do to find the actual
Then we
facts?
know we are pressing the right button. Everything that matters that we need is never expressed through the traditional media the way it's supposed to be. But anything negative coming from Makeshini will be made, even put on billboards. So you don't get discouraged when some people take onto media interviews and the media starts pushing narratives that, oh, this can't be done. We've been through harder battles, bigger battles, tougher hardships, boo. So I don't like media and they think that we'll get intoxicated and start being fearful because they said something. We are telling you, as communities, we are on the ballot sheet come 2024. Otherwise, but they vote. And let me tell you why it's threatening, Spoo. It's threatening because who will vote for a political party and be represented by someone they don't know when they can vote for their own kasi and be represented by someone they know and they can recall at any time? Think of any political party right now. If you're not happy with it, how do you recall anyone that you're not happy with in that political party? Where do you even email? You don't know. So bring back the power to the communities. The people shall govern, for the people, by the people in that parliament, not for the people, by some people. These are not my statements. These are not my opinions. Our ancestors died for this.
Penzo, we want him on the panel show. We want him to discuss even further and break it down even further, the both of you. I'm looking forward to your next engagement. Nhlanhla, please, Mfethu, make it happen as soon as possible. Thanks, Commander's morning.
Commander morning. Sure.